What's up guys, how you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Now, if you're brand new to Maplestory in 2025 and is overwhelmed by the fact that Maplestory has over 40 classes to choose from, well, maybe I can help you out with that. Here are some of my picks for beginner-friendly classes for people that just wants to jump into the game and have a good time. First, let's talk about the Bowmans. And of course, we can't talk about Bowmans without talking about the Bowmasters. Bowmaster is the bread and butter range class for Maplestory. They have a pretty simple kit, making them a very easy class to just pick up and play. You'll notice that throughout all of your job advancements, you'll have at least one skill for killing monsters and one skill for killing bosses. Their training is pretty easy as well, considering that most of their skills have a huge hitbox, letting you clear maps with ease. You'll also get a summon in the form of a phoenix that flies around you and hitting everything in range. You'll also get a turret that you can place anywhere in a map that attack in an arch. Now when it comes to bossing, they have access to Hurricane, which is a hold down skill that does continuous damage, plus you'll be able to freely move around while holding down this skill. Typically speaking, you'll want to hold down Hurricane and use your mobility options to duck and dodge everything that comes your way. Speaking of mobility options, they have double jump, which is their standard dash, covering fire, which is a leap into the sky, and you hold down the button, you get to stall for a little bit. And then there's blink arrow. Blink arrow sets a marker at your current location, and if you click it again, you'll be snapped right back, just like a teleport. Now in training, place this on one side of the map, move to the other side, teleport back, and rinse and repeat. For bossing, you can just place it down anywhere safe and then click it again to dodge any mechanics. Now Bowmasters are also great in parties, as they have access to a party buff called Sharp Eye. Sharp Eye increases everyone's crit rate and crit damage, and every single class needs this, so you'll always be welcome. In 5th job, you'll get a self buff called Vicious Shot, which basically uncap your crit rate cap, and then convert any of those crit rate that exceeds over 100 into crit damage, meaning the more crit rate you have, the more crit damage you'll receive. You also get a toggle called Silhouette Mirage. This skill basically gives you 2 clones that can attack for you, as well as block any incoming damage that would otherwise kill you or deal more than 50% of your health. You only get 2 of these and they recharge about every minute or so, making Bowmasters a pretty safe class in most cases. Moving right into the next Bowman, and that is the Marksman. For those who like the sniper aesthetic, this is for you. Now, Marksman and Bowmaster has a few similarity. They have identical mobility options, that being double jump, covering fire, and blink shot, and their playstyle is kind of the same up until about 3rd job or so. Once you hit 4th job and onward, Marksmen excel at hitting everything with guaranteed crits, and a lot of their skills ignore enemies' defense as well. Piercing Arrow is your mobbing skill that does a lot more damage the more enemy it pierces. Snipe is your bossing skill that always critically hit, and it marks them with a debuff that lets you hit them even harder whenever the empowered version of Snipe is available. As for summons, instead of a Firebird, they get a Frostbird that attacks everything around you and also freezes enemies. They get Arrow Illusion, which when placed down, pulls in mobs and can counterattack if it gets hit. Marksmen get a skill called Painkiller in 3rd job, which cleanses away any status effects and makes you immune to them for 3 seconds. Now, in the very near future, this will be changed into an invincibility frame, which adds way more to their survivability. Of course, Marksmen also get access to Sharp Eye for party play, and in 5th job, they also get Vicious Shot. Now, one of their 5th job skill is literally a sniping minigame that does a lot of damage and makes you invincible as well. Next up is the Wind Archer. Wind Archer's kits revolve around bombarding your target with as many arrows as possible. You can see this with their many toggles and buff that just gives them extra arrows as you hit things. Trifling Wind sends out small homing arrows, Stormbringer sends out slightly bigger arrows, Stormwind sends out large arrows, and Merciless Wind sends out the largest of arrows. Oh, and there's guided arrows as well. And if that's not enough for you, Wind Archers has one of the best dash in the game. It's called Windwalk. This skill has no cooldown, it barely has any delays on it, making it super easy to reposition when you're in a bad spot. And of course, it makes it fun to traverse map with this class. It's also perfect for air stalling to dodge ground's attacks, and as you can see, I have not touched the ground yet, meaning you can be in the air for a very long time. Another thing that makes Wind Archer unique is their fantastic survivability with just one skill, Emerald Flower. This is a summon that has its own HP pool, and it comes with a taunt. It attracts anything and everything, even bosses. In boss fights, place it on one side and you go to the other side and attack the boss, and it's easy meso. It has no cooldown, so you can always reposition it. You also get another skill called Gale Barrier in 5th job that basically blocks attack and also does damage around you, adding another point to their survivability. Speaking of 5th job skills, they also have Howling Gale, which sends out big tornadoes, and Vortex Sphere, which sends out a big ball of wind that just attacks everything it touches. First thief on the list is Nightlord. Nightlords back in the day are known for their mobility and insanely high DPS. Well, good to know that that part has not changed much for modern Nightlords. Nightlords are still very mobile with super strong burst damage. This class focuses on throwing as many shurikens towards a particular target as possible. They get a shadow partner summons that mimics all of their attacks, adding more damage to their firepower. In 4th job, they get a mobbing attack called Showdown that marks enemy with a debuff. Now this debuff increases the amount of EXP you earn from them and also increases their item drop rate by about 5%. This also works on bosses and their loot boxes, but do keep in mind that it is reduced by half, but hey, that's better than 0. Now, generally speaking, Nightlords makes great farmers as Showdown can pick up rarer items. And they got Dark Flare, which is a good stationary summon that they can place anywhere on a map. Now, in boss fight is where most Nightlords will thrive. They are a burst class, which pretty much means that they will buff up and then press all of their buttons in a span of about 30 seconds, and then rinse and repeat every few minutes. Now, pretty much most thieves have access to Dark Sight, and Nightlords are no exception. This skill sends you into the shadow, which lets you dodge and even in some cases lets you ignore certain mechanic. Generally speaking though, right before a burst you can just sit in Dark Sight and be safe, while other classes might have to duck and dodge a lot more. Of course, with Dark Sight, you'll be doing and learning a lot less mechanic overall compared to other classes, which make Nightlords as well as other thieves ideal classes for bossing. Now, I won't leave you guys hanging though. Here is a full list of mechanics that you can ignore with Dark Sight, so feel free to pause the video here. Up next is Shadower. Shadowers mainly uses daggers for their attacks, and they take the phrase money is power to a whole new level. In my opinion, Shadowers are way more mobile than Nightlords, and here's why. They get skills like Phase Dash, which is just your standard dash, Into Darkness, which teleports you behind an enemy and puts you into Dark Sight. In 5th job, they get 4 more dashes with good damage with Shadow Assault, and finally they get Trick Blade, which when used correctly is an iframe and deal a massive tons of damage and TPs you behind the target. Shadowers takes advantage of continuously staying in Dark Sight to boost their final damage, which makes them great for killing bosses. As for farming, they get Cruel Step, which is their main mobbing skill. It has a big hitbox, so pretty much it's very easy and chill in most map. They also get access to stationary summons like Dark Flare and Shadow Veil that you can place in different corners of the map. In 5th job, they get Slash Shadow Formation, which just attacks things as you move around. Oh, also, they get a passive called Meso Mastery, which gives you a 20% boost to your Meso drop rate. Really good for those grinding for Meso. And of course, I can't talk about Shadower without talking about Weaving with Meso Explosion. This is a unique mechanic to this class, and it's just a way to maximize your damage output. Now, if you notice, you have a pickpocket toggle that basically makes enemies drop small Meso coin. You can actually detonate those small Meso coin with Meso Explosion for added damage. Now, because you have to manually press the Meso Explosion button, Shadowers are required to use this skill in between attacks for maximum value. That's why it's called Weaving. Now, I won't go too in-depth on this as there are other people who can explain it way better than me, but just know that if you want to play Shadower, you'll need to be able to click Meso Explosion in between certain attacks. And for the 3rd thief on this list is Nightwalker. Nightwalkers are the Cygnus Knight cousin to Nightlords, with probably worse mobbing but way more survivability options and does a lot more damage. Nightwalkers utilize the element of darkness and bats to melt the target's HP bar. Every time you attack, you have a chance to summon a bat to attack with you. You get your own version of Shadow Partner called the Shadow Servant, and once you hit 5th job, you can summon up to a total of 4 servants for a short period of time. As for survivability, Nightwalkers knock it out of the park. You have Dark Sight, which again is really good for dodging and just skipping mechanics. You get a very snappy backstep, which lets you enter Dark Sight. You get a revival skill called Darkness Ascending, which essentially gives you a free life in every boss fight. You get Ravenous Bats, which heals you every time you attack. You get Vitality Siphons, which gives you a shield. You can also reposition by switching places with a servant with greater Dark Servant. And you also get a Bind to stun the boss. Overall, you have so many options to get out of sticky situation, and it's really hard to die in this class. As for farming, Nightwalker doesn't really have a lot of good options, and in my opinion, they're quite lacking. However, in late game, if you invest a lot of funding into your Nightwalkers, you can farm with your bats if they can kill everything on the screen with just one shot. Moving on to Mage territory, the first Mage we have on this list is the Fire and Poison Archmage. For those of you who likes to watch the world burn, then this is your class right here. The majority of this class damage comes from their low cooldown damage over time skills. Anytime there is a green mist or a green puddle around you, simply use a fire spell and watch as everything around it blows up. Now, if you're like me and you prefer to be standing still in training spots, well, Fire Poison has all the resources for you to do so. In third job, you get a summon called Creepin' Toxin. It spawns a pool of toxin every few seconds to the left and right of it. Anytime you use a fire-based attack near it, this pool of toxin will detonate and deal damage to anything and everything around it, and it also spreads to other nearby pools. This makes Fire Poison one of the easiest class to train on, and it's great if you want to watch something on the second monitor. When it comes to bossing, this class is a very active class, but it's not that super busy. Most of their skills are on a 20 to 30 second cooldown, meaning you'll always have something to press. You have access to one of the best buff in the game called Infinity. When used, you don't consume mana, you gain increased final damage over time the longer the buff stays active. Now, it can go up to a maximum of 115%, which is why you see a lot of mages tend to invest into buff duration to get that maximum value. And while other mages needs to time out when to optimally use their burst with Infinity active, Fire and Poison mages don't really care about that at all. All you really need to do is press Infinity and spam your skill off cooldown. The final thing I want to talk about is their movement. Most mages in Maplestory traverse with Teleport. Teleport moves you in a grid direction, meaning left, right, up, or down. It can be used in the air to reach higher grounds, but you typically will need a platform there to do so. Do note that not all Teleport has this requirement, but for the Explorer mages like Fire and Poison, they do. Teleport is just great for survivability because you can just simply phase through any incoming projectiles once you get the timing right. It's not really that much better than the traditional flash jump or double jump, it's just a different style of movement, and I can see this as being a learning curve for those that are not used to it. Moving right along to the next class, and that is Battle Mage. What's fun about Battle Mage is that they have the best teleport in the game. The difference between their teleport and the rest of the mages is that theirs is the quickest and snappiest teleport you'll ever use. It's also a teleport that doesn't need a platform above your head to perform in the air. Battle Mage is a fast-paced class that zips around the map during training and bossing. This class gets way better in 5th job because then they'll have unlocked all of their summons and full map attacks, which makes training super easy and give them a big burst of damage for bossing. Now, Battle Mage is a support class at the end of the day, so they're good for party plays if you're looking for that. They have a bunch of auras that provide benefits to your party for certain situations. First is Hasty Aura. It boosts attack speed and movement. Draining Aura, which heals every second as well as heal every time you kill something. Blue Aura, which gives you status resistant and lowers damage taken. Dark Aura, which just straight up gives you a damage boost. And then Weakening Aura, which is just a debuff that lowers enemies' defense. In 5th job, they'll get Aura Scythe, which when used, grants you all of the benefits of all your auras for a small bit of time. And then finally, they get a Party Shield, which is literally called Party Shield, that lowers damage taken for those inside of it. Next up, we got Luminous. Luminous operates between a light form and a dark form. Light form enhances your light attack, dark form enhances your dark attack. Pretty simple. You'll want to work towards filling up the gauge so you can enter your equilibrium form, which is just an enhanced form for you to use all of your big attacks with. Now, once you hit 3rd job and onward, you can choose which form to start with, giving you more power to control. And that's basically it. Otherwise, Luminous is a fairly simple class and it's a solid mobber and bosser. Other things to know about Luminous is that first is Reflection, a 4th job skill that sends out beam that bounces to nearby enemy. It's a really good skill to use for cleaning out maps. Next is Apocalypse, which has a high vertical hitbox and it's good to reach those places that Reflection couldn't. Third, they have Ender, which is what you'll want to be spamming on bosses in equilibrium form to melt their HP. Lastly, Lightspeed, their teleport, basically has a mini dark sight built into it, and they can also use this teleport in the air without needing a platform. Outside of training and bossing, Luminous actually has a great link skill that passively gives you 20% ignore enemy defense at level 3. Now that we're done with the mages, let's go into the warriors. To be honest, warriors are some of the easiest class to pick up and play, and the RN is no exception. You see, RN is a newly remastered class in Maplestory, meaning they have their gameplay smoothed out, they have bigger hitboxes, they have streamlined mobility which makes it more fluid, and of course, most of their clunkiness are now gone. RN's main mechanic is their combo system, which grants you combo points every time you hit or kill something. Once you reach 1,000 combo, you go into this like Super Saiyan form so that you can use bigger and harder hitting attacks as well as combo finishers. They also have a Super Saiyan 2 form, which you'll get later in 4th and 5th job. Again, this form just gives you enhanced attack and a bigger finisher. Back in the day, you'll have to manually input the directional key with the attack key for them to use the majority of their skills. You know, like up, down, left, and then attack. Pretty much like Tekken and Street Fighter. Thankfully, that is now gone, and you can actually keybind those skills with little to no drawbacks. Well, except for one, and we'll get to that later. Anyways, RN is very simple. They basically is a one button class, and in Super Saiyan form, you get a few more skill, but you'll find that you'll have a lot of keyboard space left open. Now, they have great survivability with Drain, which is just a lifesteal toggle, and of course, they got their own bind to use on bosses to safely burst. Now, remember when I said you can use all of their skills without any drawbacks except for one? Well, that one skill is their up jump, Final Toss. You see, if you use it with a keybind, you get 2 short jumps out of it. But if you use it with a command, which is up and attack, you actually get more height. Pretty neat, right? Next up is Heroes. Heroes are one of the 3 OG warriors. They have always been easy to play, and they hasn't really changed much in modern Maplestory. You see, Hero is known for their easy damage rotation and their many mobility options when compared to other warriors. They have their standard flash jump, they got an up jump, they got a down jump, they got a dash, and then another dash that will get you to the closest enemy. This class is very accessible for any new player who wants to just learn the basic of the game. They have a large amount of HP and they're not really squishy, meaning that they're great all around for bossing and training. They have a combo system, but it's not like the RNs. You see, they have combo orbs. Every time you get a combo orb, you get more final damage to their hits. It works more like a stacking buff, and once you fill it up, you kind of just have it until you log out. In 5th job, they have a skill that does a massive amount of damage and is also an iframe on a 25-second cooldown, which makes it great for survivability. Now, when it comes to bossing, you basically just want to buff up, pop R of your low cooldown skill, and then hold down one button for about 30 seconds. And watch as their HP melts. And the last of the warriors is the Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is an all-around solid class. They don't die, they have good damage, they have big AoEs, and they're super mobile. What makes them unkillable is their many self-heals and reflect. They got Vengeance, which reflects back damage, Ravenstorm, which is an iframe and a heal, Leech Aura is another heal, and Obsidian Skin is for less damage taken. Now, these are just a few examples because they actually have a lot more. When it comes to training, they have big AoE attacks at every job advancement. These attacks have big hitboxes that cover a wide range. They have dashes, teleport, and gliding, which is all of the movement option in Maplestory. And as for bossing, they have good consistent damage, they have a bind, and they have 2 iframes, making them very safe. Also, they don't use any mana, they use Demon Force, so for those new accounts, you don't really have to worry about mana at all. And finally, they have a very good link skill with a passive 20% damage to boss at level 3. Now onto the first pirate on this list, and that is the Buccaneers. Buccaneers is one of the simplest pirates to learn in Maplestory. They look like they have a lot going on with them in their skill book, but know that most of those skills will activate passively as you hit things. For example, anytime you use a purple skill, you have a chance to trigger a blue skill. Pretty simple. Now, Buccaneer has a pretty cool way to traverse most of the map with what's called a super jump. Basically, in 2nd job, you'll get a skill called Advanced Dash. Now, using it normally just means double tapping left or right for a dash. However, if you put this skill on a keybind and click it slightly before you click your jump button, you will initiate a super jump. It takes a bit of practice, but once you get used to it, it's such a great mobility skill to zoom through maps of any kind. Now, when you unlock your 5th job skill, Lord of the Deep, which is just a toggle that summons a dragon that spins around you and also does damage to whatever it touches, you can actually lazy farm by super jumping around a map with Lord of the Deep on, and it'll kill everything in its way. Anyways, moving on to bossing. Now, The designer of Buccaneer does a very good job at fulfilling that power fantasy of just throwing giant balls of energy at your target. The skill does a massive amount of damage, plus you can actually go invincible during your whole burst, which makes Buccaneer some of the safest class to boss with. On top of that, they have a self-healing passive. They also have roll of the dice, which gives you a buff depending on which number you get. These ranges from crit rate, defense, damage, and even bonus EXP. Now for just existing as a pirate, you get increased swim speed and you get an expanded starting inventory. Next up, we got Angelic Buster. For those of you who wants to fulfill their K-pop idol fantasy, Angelic Buster is your class right here. You have a normal form and an idol form. Angelic Buster is another one of those newly remastered class, which means smoother gameplay experience, improved hitbox, no clunkiness, and of course all of the quality of life stuff. Now, Angelic Buster is a simple rotation class, meaning in 4th job they have Celestial Roar for mobbing, Trinity for bossing, and then a bunch of big full map attacks that does a lot of damage to everything around it. Oh, and Superstar Spotlight. This is a 5th job skill. You want to fight under the spotlight for a final damage buff, as well as other beneficial buffs too. Now, even if you don't like Angelic Buster, I highly recommend making one anyway for their fantastic link skill, terms and condition. When this skill is activated for 10 seconds, you get a 60% boost to your damage, which is insane and is one of the best buffs for bursting in the game. 2 final things. First up, they're a pirate, so you get roll of dice, and then in 5th job, you get Might of Nova, which protects you from 1 fatal blow, meaning that you get an extra life in any boss fight. The final class I want to put on this list is Corsair. Corsair is a summoner. They can summon crewmates, they can summon a turret, and they can even summon ships. 2 to be exact. Now, Corsairs are great at training on large maps. Their summon can cover pretty much every corner of a map, and if for some reason you can't hit something, they come with many short cooldown full maps attacks like Target Lock, Death Trigger, Nautilus Strike, and even Bullet Barrage. I recently made one with a burning event and fell in love with how easy it was to train them, as they have so many options to clear out maps. They are definitely one of the pirates' best farming classes out there. As for their bossing, they're pretty decent as well. Again, their short cooldown skills have great burst. They have a firing order skill that makes the ship's summons concentrate all their attack into one spot, and they even have a banner to increase stats of you and your party members. Now, bosses that move around a lot may be harder to deal with, but everything else is pretty fair game. Corsair is also the only pirate class with a hurricane-like skill. As for mobility, Corsair gets access to wings. It's an up jump with a glide if you hold down the button. This works great with double jump, as you can double jump into wings and then recoil shot to get a pretty far distance. Of course, being a pirate, Corsair gets access to roll of dice, the expanded inventory, and of course, increased swim speed. This is definitely one of my recommended classes, as there are not a lot of them out there. Anyways guys, these are my picks for beginner friendly classes in Maplestory. I hope you liked the video, but more importantly, I hope this video helps you narrow down who you want to play as a main. Now, there's a lot more classes that I haven't gone over yet, so stick around and I'll be making more of those videos. But until then, I'll see you guys later.